What would be your answer if someone asks, "Who are you?" Maybe you start by saying your name. Sometimes you answer by telling all your qualities or by describing your personality. Sometimes you tell the story of your life and let others understand who you are. But how well do you know yourself? How did you come to the idea of who you are? In this video, we will try to answer these questions and explore how communication shapes our self and identity. We start by looking at some perspectives or theories on identity and self. First is George Meads' Symbolic Interactionism. His theory says that our identity is constructed through social interaction and thus communication, which is the creation of meaning through the exchange and negotiation of shared ideas and signs and symbols, is seen as central to this process. The self is developed between the interaction between the I and the me. Through language, we begin to assign meaning and develop our self and identity through our interaction with others, particularly through role playing. And we begin to expand ourselves by being aware of what others see in us. The next perspective is Erving Goffman's Dramaturgical Perspective. According to Goffman, our social interactions in everyday life can be seen as performances on stage. Performance here is described as the act of self-presentation. We choose our persona, or the character that we take that influences our verbal and nonverbal communication. Different social situations usually require the adoption of different personae. Goffman believes that the sustaining of everyday performances is important both to the development and maintenance of the self and identity. The third perspective is Freud's psychoanalytic perspective. According to Freud, the id, ego, and superego are the three components of an individual's personality. The id is the part of personality that reacts to basic biological instincts and encourages us to seek pleasure or avoid pain. The ego is the logical part of the personality that involves planning, decision making, and making rational decisions. The superego is the part of personality where our moral ideas and values are stored. These three components are inevitably in conflict with each other. Each component tries to control and influence one another. Psychoanalytic theories focus on the internal dynamics that impact on the self-identity while acknowledging the role of societal influences on their functioning. An example of this is our development of defense mechanisms in our social interactions. The last perspective we will discuss is the theory of identity by Hecht and Jung. It is somewhat similar to Meads' symbolic interactionism, where our identity is shaped by our interactions. Hecht and Jung believe that identity is not just a product of communication, but they also see identity as communication. In other words, what we communicate is our identity. Hecht and Jung showed us the four frames of identity: personal identity, enacted identity, relational identity, and communal identity. These frames are parts or angles of our identity. Personal identity is our self-concept or our self-image. The enacted identity is our performed or expressed identity. The relational identity is seen through internalization, relationship with others, relationships with other identities, and relationship as a unit of identity. The last frame is communal or collective identity, or how we see ourselves in a group or collective. Now let's look at some terms or concepts about the self. First is self-concept. When we talk about self-concept, we talk about the collection of all the ideas you have about yourself. This includes your abilities, your personality, your traits, and your roles. Your self-concept can also be a set of ideas about your potential or who you would like to be, or what you think you should be, or what you don't want to be. Your self-concept can also be defined according to a particular relationship or in a particular time or event. The next concept is self-awareness. In relation to our self-concept, self-awareness is what we know about ourselves. This includes the information known to us and the information known to others. The Johari window shows the four kinds of self: open self, which what you and others know about you; blind self, or information about you that you don't know but others know about you; the hidden self, or information about you that you only know; and the unknown self, which is the information about you that neither you or others know. The more you add information about yourself in this window, the more you become aware of yourself. The next concept is self-confidence. Self-confidence is your belief in your ability in a certain event or situation. Our self-confidence varies depending on our abilities and the situation. For example, I am shy and not confident when I talk in public or in an audience of 100, but I am very confident when I speak in a small group or in a regular class size. When we are less aware of ourselves, then we have low self-confidence. Why? Because if we don't know our weaknesses, our strengths, or our abilities, then it is most likely that our confidence will also be very low. Our confidence affects the things we do, and also how we understand and know ourselves. The next concept is self-esteem. Self-esteem is the value that you put on yourself. Our self-esteem is high if we are more aware of ourselves, and if we have high self-confidence, then the result would be high self-esteem. You see yourself as valuable and worthy of the respect of others. You feel good about yourself and that people listen or value your opinions, ideas, and thoughts. The last concept is self-understanding. This is the healthy view of yourself. It is the combination of your awareness, your confidence, your self-esteem, and the ideas that you gathered about yourself. Self-understanding is not just about good ideas about yourself, but it also includes your bad sides or the things that you need to work out with. When we talk about self-understanding, it is not just being aware of these things, but also accepting who we are and looking forward to the fact that we can develop ourselves, that we can be what we envision to be, and that we always have a chance to change who we are. All this start with knowing ourselves through us and others, believing in what we can do, putting value on our identity, and understanding how we exist in this world or in this society. Finally, here are some guidelines for developing and maintaining a healthy identity. First is to make a firm commitment to personal growth. Next is to gain and use knowledge of who we are to support our personal growth. Next is to self-disclose when appropriate. This can be done through meditation, having your own personal time so you can talk to yourself, to think out loud or speak what you are thinking of, or journaling, where you express your thoughts, feelings, and information about yourself in a journal or diary. We sometimes over-disclose to ourselves, and it may be in a form of overthinking. If we overthink, that's when we go and find a person or space that is accountable to us, so that we may also be aware of information from other perspectives. Next is to set goals that are realistic and fair. We may be ambitious about changing or improving who we are, but we must keep in mind that we need to take small steps. Change does not happen overnight. That's why we need to set goals that are feasible, realistic, and also helpful for our self-esteem and self-confidence. And finally, seek contexts that support personal change. These contexts can be your friends, places or environments, or other people or things that support you. In other words, surround yourself with people or go to an environment that supports your personal development. It's not simply saying that you get rid of the negative people and focus only on the positive, but support can be done in any way that you prefer. What matters is that these contexts believe in you and make you feel that you are valuable, and that these contexts help you know who you are and what you want to be. I will try to ask you again. Who are you? Maybe you can answer the question now. Maybe you still need more time for that. But that's okay, because we take a different road and we have a different journey. But what I want to tell you is that whatever you are facing right now, whatever you are doing right now, I believe in you. And I know you can do it. And as long as you know yourself, you can stand firm and be the best communicator that you want to be.